Hello and welcome to B&B Gaming's PodBytes, episode 20. And with me today is just one of the chaps in the team. Yes, everyone else is on holiday, probably in Bora Bora or something like that. But that doesn't mean it's going to be any less exciting. With me today, in case you're wondering, is Pascal Decaya from the good old US of A. Hello, Pascal. How are you?
How's it going? Hey, good. Speaking of good old US of A, today, meaning the day, not that we're recording this, but the day this will go onto the website, is actually the US of A's birthday.
Ugh,
So
that
the
day.
it, 1 year older.
Yay!
I seem to remember we had a Fourth of July podcast last year as well.
Yeah, I remember feeling outnumbered on that one, but thankfully it's evens here.
Yeah, today
Yeah.
it's just kind of like the podcast full of hosts and
Mm. It's making me think that they should have really worked hard to get Assassin's Creed 3 released on, you know, July 4th. That would have been sort of a bit controversial.
maybe yeah, a little bit. But well, maybe not to us here, but maybe that would that have struck a nerve with you, do you think?
I don't think anyone here really cares anymore.
Red
When I say cares
all
anymore,
that.
it's not a living memory, is it? So it's not even a case
No.
if we just don't really figure it, and we're all friends. You know, we have the US UK special relationship, whatever that means. Um,
Um, the special relationship.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you know, you guys take advantage of us, and
You wouldn't happen to have an animus near you.
um, I can have a look. I'm not sure if the orders come through on the B&B Premier bank account yet. You know,
Ah,
just waiting for the funds to come from the Cayman Islands.
yeah, that'll. And by the way, I'm also coming to you live from Bora Bora today.
Yeah, it's a very hot 36 degrees Celsius.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the rest of
And
the guys are all out by the pool. I'm the only one shacked up to.
exactly, we're
That
in here
doesn't
with
that doesn't
cocktails.
sound very attractive. All the guys are out at the pool.
Yeah, it's a
Where's the
shame.
ladies? I don't know.
B&B Gaming is lacking in female companions, clearly.
Yeah,
So
lately. Yeah.
we have a few, you know, we've had a few writers and we have a
Hmm.
few guest contributors and whatnot, but oh, well, that's slightly off topic. We're going down an avenue we probably shouldn't explore. We've probably only
Yeah,
oust ourselves as lonely. Um,
it's hanging slightly left to the topic right now. Oh,
yes. Oh dear. Um,
lowbrow, lowbrow. I apologize.
no, never mind, never mind. I don't know. Let's have a think. What's caught your eye this week in the world of gaming then, Pascal?
Yeah, not much has really caught my eye.
Not a lot, to be honest. It's a pretty boring industry, you know.
It's
Um,
I don't know if it's well, I think this week has been a not it's been one of the less exciting weeks maybe.
yeah, I think we're in that period now where it's sort of coming up to proper summer, if you can call it that, because we
Mm,
are technically in that. You know, not a lot's going to get announced. You know, maybe a few details here and there. Well, I suppose more so, nothing's really going to get released. I think the only sort of big game might be in August. Sleeping Dogs. I think that's in August. Could be completely wrong there. Um, and and that's about it. The only other thing on my radar is uh, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance for the 3DS. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan. I've actually never played a Kingdom Hearts game,
hmm
but I thought, well, I'm the 3DS guy, so I'm gonna have a look into that and see what it's all about. I've actually got the demo downloaded, but I haven't played it yet. But otherwise, I have to confess, because obviously when we were watching the E3 and doing all the stories and stuff on it, I was quite skeptical of Microsoft. I was like, oh, and Dex said, oh, there's a creative dearth, or the Xbox 360 is creatively dead, and all this bit. And I was like, yeah, I agree. It was a terrible E3, but I have now been um, wowed by Halo 4. I'm to the point where I'm just obsessed with Halo 4. I cannot wait for it to come out. Um,
Yeah, as your recent piece that you wrote
yeah,
clearly stated.
yeah. I have a funny feeling if I'm not careful, all my pieces from now on will just be Halo 4 related.
Well,
You know,
and maybe that's acceptable.
it just looks really really good. Obviously, I have some concerns because it is a remake. Not remake, sorry. It's what's it called?
Um,
Revitalization of the series. It's a
yeah, a
you know,
relaunch maybe, or that's
maybe
not the
yeah.
right word either, is it? A
Well, it's close
reboot.
enough. Reboot maybe. Don't know. Well, is it reboot? I suppose it's. I know, like an extended, maybe perhaps unnecessary continuation, but and also the people behind it are not Bungie, although 343 Industries has been involved with Halo for some time now. But yeah, I just like the idea of the campaign mode. I'm looking forward to see how they take where they go with the story, Spartan Ops multiplayer, the cooperative episodic content. I think that could really help to extend a lot of people's interest in the game because uh, Halo is one of the games, especially for me, where the campaign is as important as the multiplayer. I view sort of both segments of the game with the same interest.
Hmm.
So, and I'm going to be very hard for me on the day, day one when the game comes out. Am I going to start off by playing multiplayer, or am I going to jump straight into the campaign? Um, it's going to be a tricky one. So, uh,
Yeah,
and that's been. Oh, sorry.
I have a hard time commenting. I've never, surprisingly enough, I've only ever played Halo 1.
Mm,
Um, I've seen the sequels played, like, I've sat with friends and sat on their
mm,
couches while they've played, but I've never played anything beyond the first one. And that one, I only played the single player campaign. Um,
mm.
that was in the days when my none of my consoles were hooked up in any way, shape, or form to play multiplayer.
Is that well? Yeah, I imagine. I mean, Halo One was well, you could do LAN, couldn't you? But I mean, who actually had the money to afford four Xboxes and 16 controllers and things like that? It's crazy. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. And in terms of like the campaigns and things, I mean, Halo One is the one which sort of everyone remembers because it was really it's quite. It was it was. I don't want to say. I want to say groundbreaking. I don't want to maybe say revolutionary. To a certain extent, it was because obviously it sort of paved the way for games we have now. But like the first-person shooting and stuff like that had been done before. I suppose it's revolutionary from a console point of view. But the games that followed, Halo 2 is one of my favorite, but it's also one of the most controversial titles. And then Halo 3 kind of just it was really anticlimactic. So I'm hoping Halo 4 sort of revitalizes my sort of interest for the series and where it's
Mm.
gone and things like that. So yeah,
No,
I've been. Oh,
are you? Well, I want to weigh in on the Halo stuff some more, but if you're ready to move to another subject,
I mean, I don't want to talk. No, no, no. Fire ahead. Fire away.
I it's something you just said kind of caught me just now, when you talked about how revolutionary it was or wasn't, and
Hmm.
how the first person shooter had been done before and all that, obviously. Uh, I just, I gotta say, I kind of miss a little bit that time when I played a game and I didn't really care whether it was revolutionary or whether it was, part of a genre that had already
Mm.
that each month 15 games come out on, and things like that. When I just played a game and I was like, yeah, this is either this is fun, this rocks, or this just sucks badly. And that's kind of how I feel about Halo. When I played it, I didn't care whether it was revolutionary. I probably didn't know if it was or not. I
Mm.
didn't study up on that kind of stuff. And I wasn't young by any stretch of the imagination. I think I was at least in my mid 20s or when I played it, but
Mm. Mm.
I didn't
Yeah,
care whether it was revolutionary or not.
it's hard to say really because I mean I think I find nowadays with the games is um, I think in particular they stand out a lot more for being revolutionary because you have so much of the same stuff. One of which I think everyone always sort of argues me down on this, but Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, in my opinion, two of the best games of the last 10 years. Absolutely incredible. Um, and fair enough. It's a platform game. Platformers have been done before, but the way in which they approached it and they crafted this game, it's just really magical. And that's why I think nowadays, whereas something like when I first played Halo, I thought, wow, this game's really great. But I think like you, I never sort of sat there and thought, oh my God, like I've never played anything like this before or anything like that. I just thought, yeah, this
Mm.
is it's just a really fun game, and I just played it lots. Um, but I don't know, maybe that was just a case of, you know, especially like in the days of the N64, you just had the really good games and the really bad games. I don't remember ever playing like The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The first time I played it, I never went, "Wow, this game's revolutionary." Oh wow, I've never played anything like this before. I just thought, "Wow, this is a really great game." And it's peculiar.
Okay,
Whereas I look back on it now, maybe with that sort of light of going, "Well, actually, it was really revolutionary." I just didn't see it that way. Whereas I don't actually, fun enough, see Halo in that light.
but you know what? Those though, even younger, when I was younger, those I might have looked at as being revolutionary, but not in terms of, analyzing the specs and
Mm,
the capabilities of the console or anything like that. But just in
mm,
basically those major console jumps that we made back then. So for me, the first time was when I jumped up from the NES to the Super NES.
mm.
Just in terms of graphics. So obviously the bundled game was Super Mario World.
Great game.
Um, I couldn't even begin to tell you. I bought it, or I bought the whole console like right around Christmas time, like a few weeks before Christmas time. I made myself an early Christmas present. I was God, I wish I could remember. I think I was about maybe 12 or 13 at
That
the
makes
time.
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Mm.
Um, and just in terms of control, you had it was the first time I'd ever had a controller with shoulder buttons and four face buttons and things like that.
Mm, mm,
So in terms of control, in terms of graphics, in terms of gameplay, and then of course being Mario, it was just that was a revolutionary experience. I still didn't look
mm.
at it like, well, there's no way this could have ever happened on the NES because of X, Y, Z factors and limiting
Yeah.
technology. But I just looked at it in a different way as well. What a great game, and still even I can go back to that today and feel the same thing, even though the graphics are, I guess antiquated by today's by the standards what I'm used to now. But
Mm.
just sitting back and playing it, it kind of brings back that same magic. And then the
It's
same
like
thing,
yeah.
same
Well, no,
thing.
it's like with Mario, for example, with
Mm.
in Mario World, how you can look up and you can pick up a shell and you can kick it upwards to hit a box like up in the air. That things like that is just crazy. You're like that could have been done, but it wasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Mario couldn't do anything in the original game, in the very first
yeah.
Super Mario, or well,
Jumping.
the NES Super Mario Brothers. I know it wasn't the first Mario title technically, but
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, what could he do? He couldn't hold a shell, couldn't run with it, um he couldn't charge his jump or whatever they did in Super Mario 2, and yeah.
Oh yeah. Super Mario 2 is a word. Apparently, this is the thing. Recently, it was revealed. Miyamoto said that his favorite Mario game is Super Mario Bros. 2, and he does mean the USA version because obviously, technically in Japan, Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. It's very confusing.
Hmm.
And Super Mario Bros. 2 USA is it's like a repaint of another game. It's called Doki Doki Panic, Doki Doki Panic. I don't know how you pronounce
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And he says that's his favorite one. He said, "Oh, that's really interesting what we did with that." And I'm thinking, well, really? I would have thought like if he was going to have a favorite Mario game, I'd be like, yeah, Super Mario 64. But I find it odd that he picked that as the title because it's very un-Mario like.
Yeah, it is Doki Doki Panic, by the way.
Excellent. I see. Good knowledge. So it's
Well, yeah,
quite
yeah, it's very impressive.
but just obviously guessing it. Here I am in front of Wikipedia, just hopelessly typing in all this stuff to make myself sound like an expert. When really I don't know anything. So, but yeah, no, I thought that was quite interesting that he would pick that game. I'm not sure what your experience with Super Mario Bros. 2 is.
Yeah, you know what? For a long time, that would have been my top pick too.
Really? Oh
I
wow.
always just I love the way jumping from the original Mario to that one, how it just gave you so much more options. I know it
Mm,
was a, it's the only game that stands out as, it's in a different world, it's using a different arch nemesis and different mechanics and all that, but
mm.
um, it gave you so many more options of gameplay, so many things that you couldn't do in the original game, and I didn't know that it wasn't really meant to be a Super Mario game. To me, that's
Oh
always
no.
what it was.
I mean, I wouldn't have known until I heard the sort of the trivia on it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, like, I always remember this because it used to tick me off as a child. I mean, funny if my first experience was obviously a tad younger than yourself was with Super Mario Bros. 2 was in Super Mario All Stars on the SNES. So I mean, obviously I played the slightly enhanced repackaged version of the game. But I always what I found quite weird, obviously going from Mario Bros. 1, which was just sort of jump, fire, fireballs, get from A to B. Things like fighting Birdo, for example, and
Hmm.
obviously you had to jump on the eggs, and then you had to pick up the eggs whilst they moved in midair, and then throw the eggs back.
Hmm.
And that was kind of that's fun. Maybe the sort of the world didn't appeal to me and things like that, but it's one I need to get back into. I actually have got it on the NES now, and
Yeah, yeah.
I need to get back in because I did like I liked how you could use all the different characters as well. Being able to play as Peach and Toad. I didn't like Luigi. I've never liked Luigi, but oh well.
My favorite character by far.
Is Luigi?
Yeah.
Is that because he's like the overshadowed one? It's like the like one of the other editors on B&B Gaming. You have the main editor. That's me. I'm like Mario, and you'd be like Luigi, and Dex like Toad maybe. Yeah. So you all sort of relate to those characters.
Well, how would that make any sense of me liking Luigi 15, 20 years ago? Explain that.
Well, I don't have all the answers. That's why I have a team of editors. Otherwise it'd be far too easy. So
Yeah.
I'll leave that one for the listeners to work out.
I
So
guess I like an underdog. I like somebody who works, from behind the scenes, and Mario got all the glory in the original game, so why not let somebody else have a shot at it?
true. But Luigi did get Mario is Missing, which was the greatest edutainment game of our time.
Not till later.
That's not
No.
saying much.
Oh, hello, Jeff's here. You came at the perfect time.
Yes.
Speaking of appearing from out of the shadows, here we go.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Hey,
How's it going?
pretty good. It's been a slow week, but I'm back.
You're back. Hooray!
Yeah, we've been
Great.
commenting on that earlier, that the week is definitely not one of the more memorable weeks in gaming.
Indeed. I concur.
So,
Anyway.
well, hold on. I wanna let's hear some more about Mario is Missing.
hmm
This because this may not ever come up again, ever
Okay.
in the
Okay.
history
Okay.
of
Did you
PodBytes.
want me to have you played Mario's Missing? Are you familiar with the?
Yeah, I think I did. That was on the Super Nintendo, right?
Yep. I think they also made a. Did they make a NES version of it?
Yeah, they did. It was on
Okay.
both. They downported it.
Yeah, it's like a bastardized version, isn't it, on the
Hmm.
NES? And I think there's also a PC version because you have Mario's Time Machine as well, which is, I think, PC only. I could be wrong. It might be on NES
No,
as
and
well.
that one's on all three as well.
Ah.
And this is the one where you have to run around and like learn facts about the Statue of Liberty.
Well, basically,
And
you
King
run
Kong.
around. Yeah, you have to like run around like I don't know, Brooklyn, New York, and all these other wonderful places like Cape Town and stuff like that. You have to jump on Koopa Troopers, but in order to crack the Koopa Troopers open, I think you need to find Yoshi first. And then once you're on Yoshi, you jump on them, and some of the Koopa Troopers will drop an artifact, and then you have to go to like an information booth in the relevant part of the city for that particular. For the artifact will be related to a particular monument or something like that, and you have to go there. And it's weird. You sort of say like, "I found this. This is definitely part of this." And for some reason, they're like, "Oh, well, no, this could be a fake. Therefore, you have to answer questions
Hmm.
about this monument in order to prove it's real," which
Hmm.
doesn't
Hmm.
really make any sense whatsoever.
You have to
Um,
authenticate it somehow.
exactly. Rather than them saying, "Well, maybe you should put it under like under a magnifying glass or something." But yeah, and then it's just a case of doing that in multiple cities across the world. You can't die in the game.
Here's
It's
the
just
here's the ridiculous story. Um, Bowser has decided to flood the Earth using hair dryers in order to melt Antarctica. In order to buy all the hair dryers, he has his
It's
Koopa
already
Troopers travel all over the world and steal various important landmarks that he plans to sell.
very educational, right from the outset.
exactly. And the weird thing is that if they've stolen all these artifacts, why the hell are they walking around like up and down the streets? Of these
Carrying the
of these
Statue of
cities.
Liberty.
Exactly. Why not? Exactly. They have like these human. They have like the San Francisco foghorn, not foghorn. Uh, that's ridiculous. You know what? They're just going to put that in their shells and just carry on. It's like
A
a
lot
magic satchel.
a lot of people don't know the San Francisco Froghorn isn't
Foghorn.
actually located in San Francisco. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
You
thanks a
think it
lot.
was.
Really? Oh.
Oh, you didn't know that was a real thing, huh?
And I did know it was a real thing. I just didn't know it was not sound. I would expect it
The
to be located.
froghorn?
The froghorn, man. Yeah, it's Slippy Toad has the froghorn. It's on the Great Fox in Star Fox.
It's yeah. Well, now I don't know about you guys, but anytime pieces of a national historical monument go missing and I have to authenticate it, I don't know about you guys, but the first person I ask is a fucking plumber walking around the streets as well.
Yeah,
Seems like the natural choice for the authority on this.
definitely.
Yeah. Uh,
Mm.
and and furthermore, let's discuss this. How in the world would you melt the polar ice caps with hair dryers? Where are you going to plug them in?
That's very true. Where would you get all the energy, whilst being in Antarctica? Plus, after they melted a bit, like surely the water would rise a bit, so then you'd have to sort of keep lifting up like hundreds of thousands of hair dryers so that they didn't get submerged and then electrocute Bowser.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm overanalyzing this, I know, but I'm just saying, seems a bit crazy. Yes.
Well,
Wow.
so
Maybe
yeah.
we should just analyze another game story as well, just to see if we're not being completely ridiculous. What about I don't know. Anyone think of a game which we can analyze? No. I think the
The
problem is we've gone
story you
down.
want to analyze?
Well, I don't know. I think we've sort of gone down
A
sort of a
dangerous
one-way road.
path.
Yeah, a one-way road by analyzing Mario's missing and talking about that for far too long. It's kind of like,
We could
where
talk
do we
about
go from there?
Mario's Time Machine just to get it over with.
Oh,
Let's
I'd,
not.
What?
yeah, I'd rather not. I'd rather save my sanity. Educational games. I mean, what's the point? If you're going to have an education game, I'm saying that actually, I knock them. But I'm not sure about you guys. Obviously, school system is entirely different from what we had. But at primary school, which is elementary school for you guys, um, we had some pretty cool like educational games which you had to play. There's this one called Badger. I think it's called Badger Trail or something like that. It was on like an Acorn PC, so I'm not sure if that's a BBC PC or something, a BBC Micro. So I don't know what it is. But yeah, you had to play this game. You had to play as this badger. You had to sort of get from you had to get back to your burrow or whatever it was, and you had to work out basically like all this stuff along the way, like how to keep your badger alive. And it's really funny, like like you can't drink from poisoned water, otherwise your badger dies. And then everyone got stuck. Like everyone in my class was like, "How the hell do you get across the road?" Because everyone would try and run this badger across the road, and as you did, like it'd also trigger a car to come across and just take you out. And which is quite graphic actually for an educational game. But either way, um, it turns out that you could actually go under the bridge. So
Oh, now
just a,
that's the surprise twist. You would have had to
exactly,
you would have had to subscribe to like Nintendo Power Magazine to figure that one
exactly,
out.
yeah. That you would have needed the contra code, to word that out because
How
I don't
how
think
do
that
I stop my badger from dying of dysentery?
exactly, yeah. You know,
And is this the game that years later the Red Hot Chili Peppers based their song about? Was it inspired by your Badger tales or whatever?
probably not. I mean, I imagine it was probably just a few crappy kids in a few UK primary schools that were subjected to this terrible game.
'Cause
And
there is a Chili Peppers song called Under the Bridge.
yeah, I am aware of such
I,
a song. Yes.
I think maybe it was a hidden meaning relating to that video game, if you want to
But
call it a video game.
does it mention at any point, a badger? I don't think it does.
Maybe if you play it
Yeah, I
backwards.
was gonna
Ah.
suggest that too.
Oh my God. Oh,
Maybe
dear
this
me.
can be a listener homework. Play Under the Bridge backwards and find the hidden meaning, and let us know how it relates to the Badger.
And then you find out that we inadvertently activate like 700 sleeper cells or something across the US and the UK, and it
Of
starts like a
badgers.
terrorist attack. Or yeah, badgers that jump out of. I've actually this is going to sound really bad, but I've actually been cornered by a badger before. Um, when I was at university, me and my housemates used to it was weird. We went night walking. Like we just go out at night, and just walk around because we were in the wonderful city of Bath, which is very nice, and we just walk around, sometimes drink, that sort of stuff. Didn't cause any trouble. We weren't like hoodlums or anything like that. But there's one time I was walking down this sort of country road, and there were two badgers, sort of like scurrying around, And I'm not kidding, they actually came up and sort of surrounded us in a pincer-like formation, and it was terrifying. I thought they were going to maul me. I mean, they can kill dogs, and deer.
Scary.
No one's got any sympathy for me, have they?
The riveting badger talk.
Let's move away from badgers. I feel this is having a negative effect on the conversation at hand. Um, so obviously we recently had a Friday roundtable piece. Has our faith in Nintendo dwindled? And I'm just having a look through. Obviously, everyone who was involved. I don't think Pascal, you were involved in this. So maybe I just want to get your views on Nintendo and their latest
I wasn't.
antics.
I purposely, kept myself out of it because I'm not. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Nintendo follower, I guess. Or, well, and what I mean by that is I don't know that I really have a strong opinion one way or the other. I'm just kind of, well, they do what they do and we'll see how it goes. Like I don't have any high hopes, nor do I have, many doubts. I don't know that I really care.
Mm.
Like they're gonna do what they if they do a good job, then I may be intrigued and interested. With
What do you
the
think about I don't know, like the various things. I mean, obviously, like their E3 conference. We talked about this before in a previous podcast, but do you think that it's very clear that Nintendo is still going after the casual, but it wants a slice of the hardcore as well. So it sort of wants to be I suppose, a bridge system. Do you think it's going to have much success with that? And the only thing I would say is with Nintendo is that although they pump out a reasonable amount of games each year, there's only so many casual and hardcore titles that they can make. There's only so much resource. Uh, do you reckon that they're going to succeed if they try and follow that path?
of doing both, you mean? Of
Yeah,
pursuing both markets?
yeah, yeah. Or,
Um,
or rather, if they do you reckon that they will try and specifically go right? From now on, Zelda is a hardcore title. We're not going to make it accessible to casual gamers in any way whatsoever. We're not going to advertise it towards them or anything. Or do you think they're going to go? They're still going to do what they did before the Wii, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, Super Smash Brothers Brawl, that's for everyone," even though it really isn't.
so, I mean, are you saying that the difference between a casual and a hardcore title is the way that it's marketed?
No, not necessarily. I'm talking more as sort of the actual core gameplay.
Hmm,
If you think of casual as Wii Sports, um,
okay.
that sort of thing. I'd say my definition of it, because it's very hard, and this is something which came up actually in the Friday Roundtable piece. I think Sebastian Force, good old one of our former staff, obviously picked up on something that Jeff had said. So hardcore and casual, it's quite a hard thing to distinguish. But I'd probably say casual. You're looking at something like Wii Sports. Hardcore, from a Nintendo point of view, not that it was available on Wii, something like F-Zero. It's not very open to people who aren't familiar with video games. A bridge title is something I'd say like Mario Kart Wii, which is, funny enough, it's probably Nintendo's biggest success story because anyone seems to be able to play Mario Kart. Well, even if it's on Wii or not, everyone just gets it. So I don't know. Do you think they're going to try and create two separate markets, or do you think they're going to try and merge them again? I think they said that they made this mistake before of going after the casual and not really paying enough attention to the core. And the problem with that is the core games are the ones who buy. Although the casual will buy a system, they won't buy the games necessarily afterwards. They'll just buy it and it'll sit there and collect dust.
Well, I mean, I kind of got to wonder if something else needs to be thrown into the argument here. I haven't heard anything about this in a while, but I used to hear it all the time, and that's Nintendo's. I don't know if they called it their family values or whatever, but I mean, I know that they were very vocal at one point about family-oriented games and that there were certain lines they weren't willing to cross. They were,
Mm-hmm.
and I think by that basically meant a lot of games were automatically not eligible for the Wii because of the content. So just as an example, I mean, I know it's Xbox exclusive anyway, but let's
Mm-hmm.
say it wasn't Gears of War. If that had been Xbox and PlayStation, okay, like if it had been available on any platform, I think the Wii would have automatically, Nintendo would have automatically said, no, we're not doing Gears of War. It's pretty brutal and graphic violence. You know, chainsawing somebody in half is uh, it's pretty high up there on the scale, I would say.
I don't know. I mean, because I think the Wii. I'm trying to remember. It's got its fair share of 18 rated games. I mean, you've got Call of Duty Black Ops, House of the Dead, Overkill. I'm trying to think of some other ones, and even then, like not necessarily 18 games, but it's higher rated games. I'm not sure it's so much an issue nowadays for Nintendo.
I mean,
I
so
think
House of the Dead, that's the light gun arcade cabinet. Is that what we're saying? And they
yeah.
ported it to use the Wii mode basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because they actually have to. Cause they have got one which is ported,
Hmm.
but
That's
this one I think was made from the ground up, and now you can get it on PlayStation 3 as well. But if you've played the game, it's certainly not.
hmm.
It's outrageous to be honest. It's probably more shocking than Gears of War because not so much the graphic content, but the language is. Well, I think it has a world record for um, the most most number of times that the F word has been used in a video game. It's like 183 times within 3 hours of dialogue.
Hmm. But would you not say that Nintendo has of the three big manufacturers, they have the biggest family-friendly image?
Um,
When you think of family gaming, gathering around, like the little
hmm.
kids on
I think
a
yeah,
Friday night.
I think they have that, but that's the thing. I think that would be if Nintendo themselves probably wouldn't make those sorts of games where they're not going to go out and they're not going to make their own version of Gears of War. But I don't think they would be opposed to having Epic come along and say, "Hey, we want to make Gears of War for Wii," because the chances are Nintendo go, "Oh, that will sell well," and we'd like to get that. It's a bit like Call of Duty, and things like that. I think, but you're right. Nintendo's own image that wouldn't match up with it.
Yeah, I just don't see that they cultivate an image that would encourage game developers to approach them in that direction. I mean,
Mm,
maybe do. I mean, I could be kind of off base with that. But I mean, you were asking like, my opinion, can they, recapture the hardcore market? I mean, I think the biggest thing that's standing in the way of them recapturing the hardcore market would be themselves.
yeah, I think that's very true. And I think the other thing as well is we've got to probably maybe read a bit more into Nintendo's what Nintendo means by what it says. When Nintendo says the core, does Nintendo mean it wants to take people away from PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, or does it just mean it wants to win back its own fans, which it might have lost with the Wii? Because lots of people, I'm sure, who went, "Oh wow, I love." I buy Nintendo systems because I want to play the next Mario, I want to play the next Zelda, I want to play a really in-depth Metroid game. I want to play a really technical F-Zero game. I want Star Fox for all the action and stuff. And obviously, a lot of that stuff didn't come, and the stuff which did come was, although it was really good, it was in dribs and drabs. So maybe Nintendo's maybe looking to up the ante as such and create more of those experiences while still pumping out, we fit you and we sports you and all this other stuff. So obviously Nintendo Land, which Nintendo Land I think actually works as a really good again another bridge title because it has the Nintendo branding, whereas Wii Sports itself obviously is a Nintendo game. It's quite generic and stuff like that. Whereas Nintendo Land, even to me, looks quite appealing because it's got the Legend of Zelda Battle Quest. I think there's a Metroid mini game. There's an Animal Crossing game. That's stuff which casual gamers I think will get. They'll enjoy the games and stuff like that. But the core gamers will go, "Hey, I'm playing a Zelda spin-off. This is kind of fun," and everyone can sort of enjoy it. So maybe I don't know. It's hard to tell where they're going. I'm not sure. Jeff, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that might be where they're going. I think hopefully with that they'll actually be able to bring in more third parties like with Zombie U or
Mm,
however you pronounce that, and just they haven't shown much yet with E3 being what it was, but
mm.
hopefully as the year goes on and with the Nintendo Directs that they're pumping out, that we'll be able to get more of a. Brain has the dump today. Um, just them being able to bring both sides together into one.
Cohesive package.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, I don't know. I don't want to brand myself as either casual or hardcore gamer. You know, I enjoy certain things from both markets. So would I want them to
Mm,
go completely? I mean, if they say, okay, you know, we're going to be casual only, we're going to try to appeal to the casual market, okay, then they're certainly free to do that, and maybe they'll succeed, but that won't include me because I don't include
mm,
myself in the casual market. That doesn't mean I don't play casual games, but
yeah.
I'm not quote unquote a casual gamer. But I'm also not a hardcore first person shooter only or MMO only or whatever, what have you kind of gamer, you know? So pigeonholing themselves into just that's the market we want to have, well, then go ahead, go
Mm,
for it, but you probably won't have my money. Um, Whereas if you kind of try to go back to I mean, I don't think that the Super Nintendo, which is really the last time that I was um, very on board with, you know, a Nintendo console. I don't think the Super Nintendo was specified itself as too much of this or too much of that. It was just a place for good games, and not just games, but like great games and lots of them. You know, there were so many good
mm,
ones. If they can approach that again, and move towards that, there's a chance that I could be into the Wii U. From what I've seen of it, I think I could be kind of excited for it if if it captures me without trying to force me into a specific market or only offering a certain type of
mm,
experience, then I may be on board with that money wise as well.
yeah. I think with Nintendo, so if they want to really go for the casual market and maybe do it in a way which is going to be not so much cost effective, but will help them from a sort of a development burden point of view. Um, they should really make sure that they open up like the online service, like the Nintendo Network, and create something which is akin to um, the Apple App Store or Google Play or whatever it is, and have more casual titles on there so that you can get the smaller developers in there, something like Rovio or Zynga or whatever, to actually make games, just like they would have on iPad or Facebook or whatever, and make them for the Wii U because they would stand you know to really win a lot of people over. Then if people could suddenly play
Mhm.
Angry Birds on their TV, and things like that, I'm sure they would get a lot more activity on the online front. The only thing I see with that is I think Nintendo have admitted themselves that they're not going to have an online system which will be as good as Xbox 360s, and PS3s. They've already said it. They said, "Oh, we're I think Iwata acknowledged that they were years behind, in this sort of thing." I think, well, yeah, but at the same time, surely you could catch up. If you've got tons of money, they could invest into building an infrastructure up over the years. But I really do think some sort of app store which has, I think they showed in one of the early tech demos, people playing, what's the game? Is it Reversi or something like that? No, it's not that. What's the game where you put down like a checker piece and then someone puts one next to it and it turns the color.
Othello?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think they were playing that. Um, God, terrible knowledge of board games. Uh, but having things like that as well as what you
Or
typically find,
Shakespearean plays.
or Shakespearean plays, yes, you know, and having that sort of content on there where you can access, just more than what you normally get. Nintendo could effectively match up at a more affordable price than what the iPad currently offers. It could match up, casual gaming, mobile gaming, smartphone gaming, and core gaming within the living room, you know, at a good price. And I have a funny feeling they're going to miss the trick there. That's my sort of thing because they're just when it comes to online, Nintendo's just it's foreign to them. They have no idea what they're doing. So, well, not I say that that's a bit offensive. I think it's more a case of they don't. Again, they haven't built up the infrastructure, so there's only so much they can do. But although I do think Nintendo Miiverse looks good, so I'm not going to be entirely negative. I just worry that if they are going to market the system properly, they need to make sure they've got the online right, so they can have as many publishers on board as possible. Because I'm rambling here, but with the third parties, I think third-party core titles like what we're seeing now, like Assassin's Creed, Batman: Arkham City, etc. Those games are going to go. They're great now, but what happens when we're sort of 40 years down the line? Potentially, the next Xbox 360, next 360, next Xbox, the next PlayStation are out, if they do ever come. And you've got the Unreal 4 engine to Unreal Engine 4. Sorry, I'm absolutely making God knows how many typos today. But you've got that to contend with as well. Are you then going to see just as much third party, interaction? Probably not, because those games have already come out. They will port games, and that's probably it. And you won't see the unique titles that you normally get. So, yeah, it will be interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, not having tons of unique games and mostly porting games from each other or to other systems, that's worked out okay for Xbox and PlayStation. There's not that much unique content on each console.
But I think what I mean is that they're porting stuff. They're porting stuff across now, for example, which, for example, say PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 for some weird reason stick around till the end of 2014. Like, they don't release a new system until then. Well, during that time, publishers should theoretically be able to publish games that they're making for PS3 and Xbox 360 very easily to Wii U as well, at less cost. As not as much cost as making a brand new game, and that works fine. The problem is when you then get to the next generation, are they going to spend? It's kind of like what happened with the Wii. Are they going to be spending that much time downporting games? The only ones you really saw happen were, I think, the Call of Duty games, and very little else. Most of it was actually ported across from sort of PS2, or they were unique titles. And I think that's the issue. It's trying to win back third parties, but how is it going to do that? The only sort of angle I can see that going from is if third parties suddenly decide, actually, making games for PlayStation 4 and Xbox, whatever the hell it's going to be called, it's too expensive. It's costing us 300 million, 400 million to make a game, whereas on Wii U we can make it at the same cost which it cost us last generation. And even now, when you think we're using technology which is 8 years old to make games for Xbox 360, and they still have $100 million budgets. It's ridiculous. How does it cost that much to make a game? And to think you're then going to go into a new generation which has more advanced technology and all the other bits and bobs that come with it. You've got to take into account the initial lower adoption rate of systems and stuff. And it's going to be very interesting how it all plays out. So maybe Nintendo might win there. Maybe they've got that up their sleeve, and I haven't thought about that enough. But I do think if they want to sort of have a system which appeals to the core and gives them all the casual and the Nintendo stuff at the same time, they need a system which is unique but also has the power to provide for everything, basically.
Well, yes, but I mean, so it sounds like you're kind of saying one of your points is that their timing, that they're effectively one or maybe like 3/4 of a generation behind technically, and the timing is kind of like they're releasing their console. They're the only ones going into next gen right now, but in a couple of years, everybody else moving up is going to kind of make that obsolete in a way, and they'll be years behind at that point. But then the other thing is, I don't think. Well, I don't know. Microsoft and Sony haven't really released like any plans on where they're moving with their next consoles. But I have a hard time believing that they're gonna really move away from the standard like controller in your hand setup. Whereas Nintendo's, with the Wii U, they've got the tablet which you can place on the ground and throw golf swings at or whatever you do with it. And I mean, while that's like, I'm one of the people that thinks that looks really cool, and there's a lot of potential there, but are developers looking at that as gimmicky? you know, where
Mm.
that we're gonna have in the next generation, you know, and this is, you know, technical specs aside, we're gonna have Microsoft and Sony with uh, powerful, but
Wait, you never know. They might not have powerful. You mean, but Microsoft, for example, might go for something that's similar to what they've got now, maybe slightly better, and just focus it all around Connect. You know.
well, yeah, I mean that's true. Like I said, they haven't said one way or the other, but right
Mm.
now, oh boy, I think that would not be a good move at all because the Kinect
No,
is
no.
is is really not taking off in anything more than a gimmick, and not a very, well, I don't know. I would say not a hugely successful gimmick. I know they sold a lot of units, but what have they done with it? What
Mm.
successful stuff has happened with Kinect since it's come out? You know, how has it blown anyone's mind? That's
I
what I'm
think it still
like.
sells quite well, though, doesn't it? I mean, I
Well,
think
because
they're pushing it quite a lot.
yeah, but is it well, first of all, they're bundling it with consoles too at this point, you know.
Mm.
But is it because you just want to have one because of the novelty of it?
Mm.
That's, you know, the purchasing, as like I said, I'll concede that they're selling units, okay, and that's fine. But
Mm.
selling it and it actually being, you know, a
So like this,
groundbreaking piece
yeah.
of equipment is two different things.
But
Um,
I think that with what you could see with the next Xbox, though, is that I think the plans for the original Connect was to include some sort of like processor or something inside it, like it had its own CPU,
mhm.
which made it more reliable. And I think that was taken out from a cost perspective. I could be making this all up,
Oh,
but maybe to see like an extension of the Connect, because I mean I use Connect as well, and personally I don't like it. I think it's really cumbersome, really slow. You know, I don't like even navigating menus. You're like, wow, it's gonna be like Minority Report, but it's not. It's nothing like that whatsoever. It's just really clunky,
I have seen
and
that, yes.
yeah, but you know, if they improved it and they made it faster and you know, and a lot more responsive, well, I don't know. I think the potential could be there.
Well, you probably are just making stuff up to because that's because you're a liar.
I'm a liar.
No,
I like to
okay.
make things up.
I'm not saying that they're not going to include Kinect and even a better form of it with the next console, but is that going to keep them from still centering their console around putting a damn controller in my hand and letting me play my game
Mm,
that way, you know?
I think,
And
yeah.
from what
Mm,
I'm seeing, that's not what Nintendo's been doing. Sure, there's the option of that, you know,
mm,
but is that what the Wii was really all about?
no.
I'd
But at
say
at the
no.
same time, some of the Wii's best games, for example, Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Mario Galaxy especially, and to a certain extent Zelda, although really that was based around the control, so I'll probably knock that one off the list. But those games perfectly playable with a controller. I mean, two of the games were better off with the a traditional controller. Mario Galaxy you couldn't use it, but if you could have put Mario Galaxy, for example, on an Xbox 360 with HD graphics and a 360 gamepad, it probably
Mm.
would have been better, you know, than what it was, which is great because it's crazy because it was absolutely brilliant anyway. But
But also, you're comparing different things here.
mm,
You're saying some of the Wii's best games were played with the Wiimote pointing at the screen, I guess, which
mm,
which is saying compared to other Wii games, these games were some of the best. Okay, and that may be
mm,
so, but the point I'm trying to make here is what are third-party developers going for? Are they the ones making the Wii games that are played by, you know, pointing your remote at the screen?
mm,
No, they're making, and for that matter, are they making Connect games? No, they're making games that require you to sit your ass on the couch and have a controller in your damn hand and
mm.
play the
Well,
way that we always have.
you're still getting Connect games. I mean, you had what is it? Is it Armored Core Steel Battalion? I mean, it's a terrible game. I've heard it's awful, but that came out recently. And fun
Yeah,
enough,
but you
that's
also
that.
have to use a controller and the Kinect at the same time.
Oh, see, I should have done my homework on that one. Damn you, Jeff. No,
Damn you
I know
for
what you
knowing
mean.
facts. Make them up.
I think it's a case of what your with the third party developers, what are they aiming at, and that's the tricky thing. You know, uh, the casual market I think seems quite fickle, whereas most third party developers seem to be very much focused on the core still because they know that if they can pump out a good game, which follows all the stereotypes and stuff which we've been subject to over the last 5 or 6 years, then they stand to make a lot of money from it. Um, I don't think maybe they're focusing. I don't think they may be looking at their market as a case of Um, do we go casual or core? I think they're probably looking more at a case of how do we make a game with a suitable business model to make money from. So, and of course, the problem with it is consoles. It's very rigid. You kind of have physical retail, and to a certain extent, you have digital downloads. But even then, it's not quite as free as as on PC. And I think what lots of third-party developers like to start seeing is sort of being able to implement a free-to-play method on consoles, which I think was it Dust 514 is going to allow you to do that, and a few other games will pop up eventually. But I think they'd probably want to see various different business models available to them, so that when they sell their games, they make the most profit. I'm not sure there's so much fussed about who's playing it. Like I said, I think the casual market itself is quite fickle. So to sort of with Nintendo, it's sort of going after something which, it's going to make the next Wii Fit, and the next Wii Fit will sell, but it's never ever going to be able to convert those people who play Wii Fit to start playing Metroid, because most of them just won't. And I think that was its philosophy with Wii. It was like, oh yeah, we're going to get people playing video games. Well, no, actually, you're getting people to play interactive games which are on a games console, but they're not video games. Wii Fit is it's a fitness game. It's like having a DVD in front of you and you're just following it.
It's more of an application than.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is it maybe the same thing as the way that having suddenly an e-reader or a digital reader, I don't there like a Nook or what the hell's the other one called?
Kindle.
A Kindle. Is that going to suddenly make you a gamer because you're now using a handheld device to look at stuff on the screen and interact with it?
Exactly. And it's kind of like with Apple were quite successful in this, in the sense that they sold the iPad. It's a multi-purpose tablet. You can use it for God knows what, and yet gaming on iPad's pretty big. People are playing it, and they're not even actively pushing it. Apple's not sitting there saying, "Oh my God, this is the next big gaming thing." People sort of just go for it, and I think it's the fact that they don't distinguish between core and casual. Most of the games on there probably are aimed at the casual market because it's just very simple, basic games. But you do have you have companies like Gameloft who are making, they've made things like The Amazing Spider-Man, which has just come out. You've got Asphalt 7, which I've reviewed recently, which is just as good as a console version of Burnout, if not better. You have the first-person shooters, you have
nice plug, by the way.
I know. I thought to get that in there. And
cha-ching, cash that check.
But you have those in there, and and the fact is, Apple doesn't go around saying, "Oh yeah, we're after this, we're after that." Apple just makes a nice device, and everyone wants to buy it. And I think Nintendo sort of doesn't diversify itself enough, in the sense that it sort of says, "Oh, there's two markets here. We have the core market and this market," and then they sometimes sort of advertise some games at the wrong market or something like that. And really, I don't know. I can't describe it. I'm going off on a complete random tangent here, which has no purpose. But I'm just sort of trying to make sense of it all.
Well, I'll tell you what my dad uses his iPad for. As far as I know, this is the only thing he really does.
I thought you were gonna go. I thought you literally better go pornography, and I was like, no, don't.
That's what I thought too.
No, this is what I know that he uses it for, and this is all I want to know that he uses it for. No, what he does with it, and from what I've been able to gather, this is the only thing he ever does with it is he goes online and checks the weather in other countries and things like that, and sees what the weather, so he lives in Europe, and he'll routinely check the weather here in Florida and how it is on the west coast of the United States, and he'll give me updates on the weather report around the world. Yeah.
Wow, that was a good investment.
Well, yeah. I use mine as a cutting board in the kitchen, so you be the judge.
In no fairness, it does have its uses. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm kidding. I don't own one. I couldn't afford something like that.
You haven't raided the B&B coffers like yourself.
No, I did. And I can't afford something like that. That's my point. Being the B&B coffers are sad and pathetic.
We spent it all on helicopters.
Oh, yeah, about that. I kind of crashed it. We have nothing.
I raided the coffers, and I was able to afford the gas to drive to the store and look at an iPad. Then that's as far as that got me.
I think actually the revenue B&B earns, like, I don't think it even covers running the website. It's kind of embarrassing. So this is a plea to all you listeners out there that if you'd like to donate to B&B Gaming, you can get in contact with us at the following: donate@bnbgaming.com. Please note that's not actually a real address. Just leave a message on maybe just comment on the website or click on one of those adverts, and buy something from our affiliates. Although, side point, I'm going to make this one quick note before we go because we are running out of time. But has anyone noticed lately, or not lately, but sometimes now and again, I get a lot of adverts at my end on the website when I'm sort of viewing it. I mean, we just use a standard advert thing, so we don't get choosy adverts. But if you are based in the UK in particular and you see an advert for mature dating, please note that I did not put that there. I have no control over this. But so if you're seeing some sort of like skimpily dressed older female on your screen and are then clicking away from the site, please don't. Just cover it up somehow or zoom in until you can't see it, like it's off the edge of the screen. Because I don't know why that's there. It's very, very peculiar, though. It's quite off-putting when I'm trying to read one of the many fine articles on our website. So
Please note that the adverts are chosen based off of Martin's most frequently visited websites. I think it trolls your computer's browser history and makes.
It's because I'm already signed into mature dating. Like got a user profile. I'm like one of the gold members or whatever it is they have. I hope they don't actually have gold members now, because otherwise it looked like I've been on there. Yeah. But yeah, that's that. Anyway, on that rather embarrassing note, I'm gonna have to say goodbye because this time is of the essence, and I have to basically get out the whip and start making sure that Pascal and Jeff carry on writing.
Oh, I thought this was the whips that you needed for mature dating.
Yeah. I admit I
got a hot date tonight.
I'm gonna not hear the end of it. So
the furry handcuffs.
The furry handcuffs, indeed. So anyway, yeah. So you
arthritis creams.
Stop it! Don't go maturedating.com. Anyway,
is that your side project? You're plugging your own website.
That's it. I'm advertising on bnbgaming.com because even less people want to go to mature dating than they do B&B.
MartinsMatureLadies.com.
I'm pimping them out in fine English cities such as Reading and Bradford and Luton and all these other places which no one in America would have ever heard of and no one in the UK would ever want to go to. So yes. Anyway, on that note, we're going to have to say goodbye. If you are listening to us via iTunes and you haven't actually visited our website, you can find it at www.bnbgaming.com. Probably should have mentioned that near the start, as most of you have probably stopped listening at the mere mention of maturedating.com. And you can also find us on various social media networks, such as Facebook, which is facebook.com/bnbgaming, twitter.com/bnbgaming. You can also find us on Raptor. Just search B&B Gaming, and there's a page there. You can follow it and all that sort of stuff. We'll be back at some point in the future to obviously talk more about games. Just want to quickly thank Pascal and Jeff for being on the show. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Is Jeff there?
Yes, I said it at the exact same time, and I guess
It's Pascal's deep voice just sort of echoed and just blocked everything else out. Like a nuclear missile went off in the background and you couldn't hear it because Pascal was talking.
My authoritative rumble.
Yes. And yes, catch us soon. Be sure to check into the site. We've got loads of great content at the moment. And
Jeff's checking out Mature Dating. That's why he was slow to answer.
Dating.com. It's a great website. I don't own it in any way, but if you click on that, I might get some money. And yet, happy Independence Day to all of you lovely Americans.
Yes, July 4th.
You worked hard to get it, losers.
Well, yeah, none of us here today really did, but
yeah, certainly, sort of your ancestors. But anyway, yes. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.